Finally, we just found out yesterday that the Obama administration has the number of votes in the Senate to prevent a bill that would pass that would override Obama's veto on a bill that would be passed by Congress to reject the deal with Iran. The 34th senator was Barbara Mikulski, who's a retiring senator from Maryland. Recent reports say there's 36 senators now that will go ahead and prevent a congressional vote that would override a presidential veto. I would say that there's no way that this wouldn't have happened because what the Obama administration did was they negotiated an international deal with the P5 plus one powers, and since it has international sanction, I don't want to use that term, but since it has an international authorization, there's no way, I think, that Congress could go ahead and reject the deal and force the United States to go ahead and say, no, actually, we didn't, we're going to go against the deal that we negotiated. So Congress pretty much boxed into a corner, and therefore, I just didn't see that this would not happen. And this was, I think, intentionally carried out by the Obama administration, and I'm not surprised. What do you have to say, Sean?
I think basically, Obama, he's a good politician. He knows how to play his cards. He knows the way around Washington. He pressured those congressmen and senators to vote his way. There was no way around it. Even though most of the constituents around the country are against the deal, especially in South Florida, where Debbie Wasserman Schultz, or as I like to call the female version of Gandalf, who is it is my very displeasure in saying that she is my congresswoman. I don't like this lady at all.
She did block a resolution, I think, from the Democratic National Committee for openly endorsing the deal.
Yeah, but she hasn't.
But I'm not a fan of her.
She hasn't said at all about how she's going to not support the deal.
Yeah.
She's obviously very much in bed with the Democratic Party, and she very much wants to be the chairperson of the Democratic Party. And because she is so friendly with Obama, she'll do whatever it takes. She'll sell her soul to betray her own people for this deal. And you know what? It's also another thing that I feel about this as well. All these Jews in America that don't want to make Aliyah, they say they have to be the cheerleaders for Israel while we're out here like fighting the good fight. Yeah, right. This is just proof of how powerless these Jews are to really affect anything in Congress or the administration.
Well, I think, first of all, I have much more of a problem with J Street because they actually make it their intentions to go ahead against the Israeli government to tell us what to do when they're 6,000 miles away. At least AIPAC, which I'm not part of AIPAC, never have been, but at least with AIPAC, they don't make it their mission to go against what the Israeli government says. They just do whatever they endorse whatever the Israeli government's position is. But I will say this. That J Street, when their intention was to pretty much endorse the Obama's position, which goes against Israel's position, and I think that I just think that if you're going to go ahead and make a position like that, at least have the decency to go ahead and say and recognize the legitimacy of Israel's position when you're 6,000 miles away. That's what I would say to those people, personally. But I want to make a point really quickly about what you said regarding the pressure that Obama put on the Democratic members of Congress. I don't know if he put that much pressure. Again, he might have, but again, I think it has much more to do with what the ramifications would be if the U.S. Congress said no to this deal. We're going to talk about people. Going ahead and say, well, you can't trust the United States now because they said one thing and then 3 weeks later they go against it, the U.S. would look pretty foolish. And I think that while members of Congress might say that they don't want this deal with Iran, they understand that now that we made the deal, now that Obama did it, we have no choice but to continue going along with it because we'd look even more stupid. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the Obama pressure, but I think there's no question that this deal is not a good deal for Israel.
First of all, there should be no deal. We don't make deals with terrorists. We don't make deals with scumbags. Iran is nothing but a scumbag nation of terrorists, slimy, filthy, theocratic, totalitarian people who are nothing more but butchers, who are nothing more than evil criminals who should be put to death for their crimes against humanity. And instead of this, the Obama administration is giving them a treat. He's giving them the candy that they want so they can continue to murder off minorities, to oppress minorities, and not only that, but give money to terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas, who not only will attack Israel, but they'll attack America. And let me tell you something. Those folks from Hezbollah have attacked Americans in Beirut in the 1982 and 1983 bombings of both the U.S. Embassy and also the Marine barracks. President Reagan went out and brought those terrorists to justice and put them in jail. Obama hasn't done anything like that since Benghazi. He didn't do anything. His administration is lazy. They've done nothing. They suck up the terrorists. They're scumbags. This Iranian government
I wouldn't say they suck up the terrorists. I would say they support terrorists by going, let's say in Libya when they backed them against Gaddafi. Gaddafi was actually fighting the terrorist groups, and they supported the terrorists that are now in Syria. So I'd go even further than that. I would say that the administration has actually supported terrorists. So I want to throw that in there.
This is going to blow up in America's backyard. Hezbollah has already made connections with Mexican cartels, who not only are very much involved in funding corruption from both the U.S. and Mexican border, and they have tons of tunnels that they've made. There will be an invasion of terrorists going in from Mexico's border into the already terrorized borders on the south in the U.S. states. It will go in. There will be tons of terrorist attacks. It's going
to be. You really believe that?
I really believe that. Now that they have the money and they have the know-how how to make tunnels, these guys are going to be unstoppable. America's dead in its sights.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I share that assessment, but all I do know is that this deal is not good for Israel. But I don't know if it's going to be that disastrous for the United States.
It's not good for anybody, my friend.